Hey everybody, welcome to Fantastic Comics Presents. We got a lot of stuff going on for the show tonight. In fact, it's scrolling down below. Stick around for some videos and some fun, and then we'll get the show started. See you in about 10.
Hi, it's John Romita Jr. at San Diego Comic-Con. Fantastic Comics is Berkeley, the best shop in the world, hands down.
Now, I'm not panicking, Dana, because I'm not looking.
Okay.
I haven't looked at my bank account. I'm afraid. But I'm just going to be patient. And my people are going to set me up so when this thing rallies, I can say, in your face, Harold.
You have been most worthy prey, Mr. Sampson. But now I must adieu.
Wait, dude! What about Batman? You call yourself a Batman fan? He would never kill anybody. Seriously. Ask yourself, what would Batman do?
I have a confession, Hank. I only like the Batman because he has the best villains.
You might not ever get rich. Let me tell you, it's better than digging a ditch or being chased by a witch.
There ain't no telling who you might meet.
A movie star, maybe even a Indian chick. Working at the car wash. Working at the car wash, yeah!
Wow, look at this laundry list of complaints. So you have no direction, no college ambition, no job prospects?
Yeah, it also says I have no dick. But you'll notice that follows the financial question, proving once more what women really look for.
What do you do for money anyway?
Blood bank, sperm bank, currently considering the eye bank.
Wow, she calls you callow in here.
You say that like it's bad.
Means frightened and weak-willed.
Really? Shit. That was the only part of the letter I thought was complimentary.
What the hell are you two doing? It's called rocking out. You wouldn't understand, Dad. You're not with it. I used to be with it, but then they changed what it was. Now what I'm with isn't it, and what's it seems weird and scary to me. It'll happen to you.
Hi, friends. Frederated.
Frederated with more Federated feedback.
Today's letter is from Garth and Gerda Groth of Steaming Toad, Arizona.
They write, Dear Fred and Frida.
Garth and me are the laughing stock of the town just because our hi-fi is a little old-fashioned. What should we do? We're sending it to you, signed Stuck in Steaming Toad.
First, pick up one of Fisher's best-selling systems.
The Fisher 7700 with amp, tuner, cassette, turntable, speakers, and cabinet. Get it for $7.99. And for a system like yours, this. Enough of that.
No, that's the whole point. It's the same exact thing, but it's with women, right? So it's a new idea.
Okay, I just feel that if it's all with women, then it should be better.
Why can't we just do the same thing?
Because if we do the same thing, then why are we doing it at all?
Yeah, I gotta say, I agree with that. I mean, why can't we just come up with our own record to break? Like some badass woman who could really throw them back, you know? Judy Garland, Liz Taylor.
Joan Crawford.
Betty Ford. No, those are all sad examples of alcohol abuse. The box thing just feels more fun, you know? When women do it, it just feels sad.
Does he sing in English or Russian?
In English, come on, berserker, girls think sexy. I'll watch, wait, he's gonna sing, I'll watch, it's too funny.
My love for you is like a truck berserker. Would you like some making fuck berserker?
That's fucking funny, man.
Did he say making fuck?
Oh, shut up, Pee-wee.
Why don't you make me?
Why don't you make me?
Because I don't make monkeys, I just train them.
Oh, Pee-wee, listen to reason. Oh, come on.
I'm listening to reason.
Pee-wee.
That's my name, don't wear it out.
Ride the world's most terrifying roller coaster. The Devastator. The Devastator. A heart-stopping 200-mile-per-hour, 15-story drop, spine-cracking 90-degree turn, and the final plunge. 2 whole minutes underwater. The Devastator. The Devastator. It's soul-shattering. Devastator! Devastator! Only at Thrill World.
I'm married to a woman.
These are all my regulars. You strike me as a angry top.
I'm clean, but you do have to glove up unless you're down for some frottage.
Frottage?
It's French for rubbing our dicks together.
I'm going to do a scene from the movie Raging Bull. You fucked my wife? What? You fucked my wife? How can you ask me a question like that? How can you ask me? I'm your brother, and you ask me that? Where do you get the balls big enough to ask me that?
She really did some job on you. You know how fucking nuts you are? Look what she did to you.
You fucked my wife.
What?
You fucked my wife.
How could you ask me a question like that? How could you ask me? I'm your brother. You ask me that? Where do you get your balls big enough to ask me that?
John, the kind of control you're attempting is, it's not possible. Listen, if there's one thing the history of evolution has taught us, it's that life will not be contained. Life breaks free, it expands to new territories, and it crashes through barriers painfully, maybe even dangerously, but, well, there it is. There it is.
You're implying that a group composed entirely of female animals will breed?
No, I'm simply saying that life, finds a way.
Do you really want to get him? You see what I'm saying? What are you prepared to do?
Everything within the law.
And then what are you prepared to do? If you open the ball on these people, Mr. Nash, you must be prepared to go all the way. Because they won't give up the fight until one of you is dead.
I want to get Capone. I don't know how to get him.
Want to get Capone? Here's how you get him. He pulls a knife, you pull a gun. He sends one of yours to the hospital, you send one of his to the morgue. That's the Chicago way. And that's how you get Capone.
You've been annoying me, Colin Robinson.
Yeah, well, you've been trolling me.
Excuse me, I'm a troll? I do not like the term trolling.
Well, it's not really up for you to decide. I mean, that's current slang.
Well, I think it is because I'm a troll. It's an offensive term.
Well, that's what it means, so...
That's not what it means.
It does mean that. If you need me to look it up in Webster's and show you, I will. You're basically just a big...
Don't say it. My being a troll is not related to my online trolling.
I'm sorry that people use the term trolling.
Don't use the
word. But when you're a troll and you troll, then you're trolling.
Stan Lee. How does something as big as the creator of some of the most important titles in comics history coming to my mall get by me? I must be slipping in my old age. The name amongst names. God, there's a million questions I'd love to ask him.
Her father. I knew this game show thing was just a beard for an attempt at breaking us up. Why can't he just leave us alone and let us follow through with our plans?
Hey, what kind of man are you anyway? I'm talking comics and you bring up chicks and romance? And while we're on this subject, why the hell do you want to get married now anyway? You're still in college.
I was just gonna propose. The wedding wouldn't be till after we graduated.
Waste of time if you ask me. My grandmother always said, why buy the cow when you get the sex for free?
Well, she did.
All the time. Of course, she became a lesbian on her 60th birthday, but that's beside the point.
All right, come out or I'll blast you out.
For shame, Doc. Hunting rabbits with an elephant gun.
Elephant gun?
That's right, Doc. So why don't you go shoot yourself an elephant? You do, and I'll give you such a pinch!
We're going to start our volleys. We hope you like the show. For everything is ready. We're raring to go. We'll give you all the latest songs and dances full of pep. We're gonna start with Hacha. Just watch this chorus steps.
Originally settled as Ocean View during the 1850s, the city's population boomed with displaced
Fantastic
But in my own way, I am king. Hail to the king, baby.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Fantastic Comics Presents. I'm sure there's going to still be a few people that are going to be rolling in as we go on, but thank you for joining us. If you're here live, if you're not here live, well, thank you anyway. And I say to each and every one of you,
Sup?
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 Hello.
What's up?
What's up? Oh, I love that little video. That was back in another time. Thank you, everybody, for joining me. I said that already. I need to get this drink down. Hold on a sec. All right. We're going to talk about Spider-Man, but it's also going to be a little bit about reviewers. And I'm going to kind of pick on Wes. And ultimately, it's because he did a video about Spider-Man. But he is voicing a lot of other people's concerns. And so, whereas I might kind of be targeting him, I understand that he's also speaking for what I consider to be a loud minority of Spider-Man fans. Unless we're counting all the people that aren't saying anything in with those people, and then they ain't so loud anymore. But we'll get into that. And if you want to see that video after I talk about it, I'll have a few clips. You can check out the comments down below, and I link Wes's video about Spider-Man. And yeah, we're going to get into that. There's a big book coming out next week. I don't know if any of you heard about it. And we're going to talk about new comic books that are going to be coming out. I've got a Transformers comic that we're going to be giving away. I'll let you know then how we go about giving it away and, you know, what you have to do to be involved in that. And of course, we're going to talk about best comics of last week. And I'm sure there's going to be more. But the first thing we're going to talk about is a little bit of a segment that, you know, we just don't want to talk too long about it. You know, I know that I failed to do something. For those of you that are new here, you might want to know this little bit of information.
My name is Yule Carter, comic book retailer in Berkeley, California.
That's right. And that's how you spell it. It's also traveling down there. I went to the comic show this weekend, Berkeley Comic Show, and met some people afterwards at the store. And we'll talk all about that also. But like we did, first, we're going to have some wrestling that we're going to talk about. News and wrestling, I didn't watch any. AEW had a pay-per-view. WrestleMania is going to be happening on the 19th and the 20th of this month. And I think my Peacock, Netflix, Hulu, and a whole bunch of other accounts that I have are going to be over. I will have the unfortunate Amazon Prime account, but that's more for store purposes that I, as an individual, get to take advantage of. I don't think I usually do, unless like some of that British shit comes off there. All right, that's the wrestling minute, everybody. No, I'm just joking. I listened to, with Jill just recently, a little bit earlier today, we listened to John and Way from Wrestling Post, and they used to be on a Canadian radio station, and every Sunday night they would have a show. Well, it wasn't really them. It was this guy named Dan the Mouth, blah, 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 whatever. He's some heavy metal old man that likes to talk wrestling, and he does a really good job. But, you know, after a while, other people come in, and those people do a good job. But now that they're only really talking about AEW glowingly, excusing all the warts of a company that's been around for 4 or 5 years now, right? Maybe I'm wrong. 3 or 4. Anyway, they had a pay-per-view and it went 5 fucking hours. 5 hours. At least the WWE now splits it in 2 days. So, yeah, maybe I want to watch the first one. I didn't watch any, and they also had that jerk-off comedian that made fun of Puerto Rico at the Republican National Convention. So, Raw, Netflix, suck a dick. Which is funny that I end it with Pat McAfee because he can suck a big one too. Yeah, that went fast. All right. You know what? Let's get to the next segment right now.
Bill, spin my arm.
Come on, come on, come on! Come on, come on!
I win a Winnebago.
I win a Winnebago!
No! So close. I spun it a little too hard.
It's true. He did spin it a little too hard. We're going to be with the raffle spinning the wheel. There's going to be 2 spins and then one last one to see who's going to win. Let's get this up here. Transformers number 13, the 1 in 50 variant by Francesco Mattina. You know, it's funny. I mean, so obviously Transformers, what, 17, 18? I can't remember what came out just the other day or is coming out. Maybe that's this week. I forget. It all, whatever. Mattina. So this is a few months ago when this book came out. And the last time I was really heavy on X, Twitter, before that, just to dead name it. Francesco Mattina had been called out for a lot of, actually, I think it was even before that, was called out for maybe like AI or something like computer artwork or something like that, CGI or something like that. I don't know what the hell they do to fake their drawing, but a lot of manipulating and a lot of taking from previous sources and stuff like that. I could be talking about the wrong person, but I haven't seen Mattina in quite a while. So blast from the past for this 1 in 50. You can see all the people that either bought cover A or cover B. And then we're going to have a spin-off between them and whoever wins the second spin. And I'll tell you all about them in just a second. First up, good luck, everybody. Well, Ryan, congratulations. You are a winner. We are going to get rid of all those names. And we're going to leave Fantinuum, who's in chat, and Cameron, who is not. Unless you are, then speak up. We'll talk to you in a moment. These gentlemen purchased the 1 in 10 variant. And so they get one other chance to win this prize. Oh, damn. Sorry about that. Let me just turn that off. Okay, very good. All right, good luck, everybody. Or, well, you too. Fantinuum, who has been a winner in the past, is going to be the winner today. I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to remove Cameron's name, and I'm going to add Ryan's. But before I do that, I'm going to play this video. That's right, robots in disguise. All right, sharing screen again. Good luck to you too. I think Ryan has won and Fantinuum has won. So for all you that haven't won before, scream for the winners that get to win yet again. Or remember, you can buy a 1 in 10 variant. All right, here we go. This is fun. Oh, Ryan, congratulations. Well, he'll have to bring his brat in to get the comic again. I say lovingly. All right, congratulations, Ryan. It will be in your poll box. You see, we are a store here at Fantastic Comics, and I have a scroll just to prove it right here in Berkeley, California, from Wednesday to Sunday, 12 to 5 p.m. I sell you all the funny books you could possibly want, unless I sell out. Remember, you can get a subscription. And if any of you out there that aren't customers of mine want to get a hold of me, maybe like talk about the show, maybe let me know about subjects that you might want to talk about or hear about from a store owner's point of view, a longtime fan's point of view, you can get me at events@fantasticcomics.net. And so far, nobody's taken me up on it, so thank you. All right, to all of you that are live out there, I know I've already said it once, but I really, really mean it, and I want to let you know in this special way.
Hello. 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 Oh. Go. Look out. Hello.
Look out. Hello. That's when I do this. Yeah. Take this glass right here. Pour this out. Oh, is it too fast? No, it's not too fast. Boom. There you go. See that? It's a tall can today. We might have a long episode. All right, first up. Fantinium first. It's like the old days. Yo, yo, yo. Don't like it. Don't look at it. And I'm not talking about like a puppet show, if you know what I mean. It sounds like my reaction to 90% of my coworkers. That's why I always join meetings via Zoom. There is a via. That's what free lunch gets you, a bunch of Javas. They give them free lunches when they go in, and Fantinium has told me about the lunches that they give, and man, it's worth staying for dinner too. All right. Eric O'Sullivan. Sully, am I a comic book reviewer? No. You are a comic book fan that is on the internet reviewing comics, talking about comics, telling about things that you've read. I mean, you're putting forth the effort. Are you reading everything? And that's another, well, when we get on to talking about reviewing, we're going to get into that. I've been asking myself that recently. The answer could be yes. Am I positive? Sure. Yet I'm a voice that's few and far between. Yule's a similar voice. I like his taste. Well, thank you very much. Although I know you don't like Blood Squad 7 incorrectly, of course. But we don't have to like the same things. There's a lot of things that everybody doesn't like, but that doesn't necessarily make them bad. You know what I mean? Did you really? Well, we'll talk about some comics that are coming out soon. Fantinium coming out in hot. Ali, did I see you last week? I can't remember. Hey, Ali. I hope I see you this week. Hello all. Well, hello, Jagron too. And Erica Sullivan will see that in the morning. Shelby Pill in the other room says hello. And Elithador says hello. Hey. Finally, back to a reasonable number of comics this week. I thought last week was pretty reasonable too. What I'm seeing though is in the last week, even though there wasn't a lot, there was a lot of things people were going to want to buy. So although the week before, so 2 weeks ago, I was seeing over $100 sales. This week, I was seeing $60 to $90 sales. And I had a really good week. And some people went on vacation. So, and, really, I don't care about money when it comes to that. But I like it. I'm going to gauge it by success for the store. And we're small. We just are a small community store, and then there's this show, and you can take from this what you will. But the reality is you have to pay some bills. You have to, it's always bills. I'm the kind of guy that, like, when I have two bills, I'm starting to sweat. I had friends that told me that you are at most at ease with the least amount of keys that you had in your life. And I had it down to 0 at one time. And then I had it down to 1. And then I got like store keys. And it's like, 2 and 3 keys, and this is before I owned the store. So there was a good time when I was, pretty carefree. It still worked. It wasn't like I wasn't taking showers every day. But I agree. Back to a reasonable number of comics this week, although there are some pretty darn good comics that are going to be coming out that we'll be talking about. Dwayne Muth says, good evening or good Tuesday. Brady Bunch are now playing at Dante's Inferno. Spin and rinse. Ta-da! Not near Mint. Good evening, Yule. Good evening to you. I agree. I hope you guys are all doing good. Hi, all. That's me. Eli's here. What? I haven't seen you in a couple weeks. There might be something. Aliens Avengers came in. You getting the Hickman book, and there was an Ultimate that I don't think you got yet. So you might want to come in soon for those. Maybe wait a week still. All in with a tall can, Battle Buddy. You're the winner, baby. Jagron says, LOL. Wes and Doc were blaming by name for having them read. Okay, so just like this show, this store, Wes has a Patreon for Thinking Critical. And, if you are a kind of person that has $5, because I think that's what my rate is. But Wes has way different levels that you can be a patron of. And I know that Jagron gets on there and he does, there's like Make Doc Suffer or something like that. So, or you can recommend stuff and, there's a certain pay rate for that. And so Jagron's willing to pay that. I'm not willing to accept money to read a shitty comic book. And I read Dazzler 1. Holy shit. I almost put Concert of Champions, though, up on the top 5 list for the best of last week because it sold well. It didn't sell a lot, but it's more of I wanted to pat myself on the back for ordering correctly. There were a bunch of covers, though. How's your father? Says good evening. Tom Griffiths. All right. Funk Comics 814. What's up? All right. Roxanne Foster. Is Matina the artist doing the Space Ghost covers? Oh, damn. Yeah, maybe so. I don't remember who that guy was. I'd have to go back and look at that episode where we were talking about all the pirated art, or maybe pirated art. It was someone supposing it. You know how people on the internet are. Sometimes you're just looking for a show, a reason to have a show. So I did read All New Venom 5. It was an okay issue. Really? Okay, cool. I won't read it. Are there any variant covers Yes, I will be talking about those in a moment. I picked out one specifically for you. Jolly Bone. Hi, guys. And also Tom Griffiths from Sex, Lies, and Videotape. Oh, gotcha. Great movie. That's a good Andy Well, actually, Andy McDowell is lucky enough to have a couple of good movies. Is that her name, Andy McDowell, the cover girl actress? But then there's the one from Just Shoot Me that was in it also, and then of course it was James Spader. Is that right? Am I right on that one? And I think that was him recovering from a little happenstance that he had in the past in the What's that dude's name? Rob Lowe. But I mean, I'm talking about Francisco Matino, like I know. Maybe I'm wrong about that also. Yeah. Thank goodness very few people watch this all the way to the end or even past the opening. By the way, thumbs up if you like what you're seeing. I'll put that up. Hold on a sec. Yeah, and here's a little bit of pertinent information, including the Patreon page. Everything's Fantastic Comics. I'm no longer on X. I'm no longer on Facebook. The only reason why I go on Facebook is for a retailer tier conversation, and I never even talk during it. I'm off of that. I'm off of it. It's over. I'm done with it. No Blue Sky. If there's a new one, I don't care. I think we should figure out what our entertainment is and utilize it accordingly. But try and do a minimum or a maximum of one at a time. It's hard for me. A lot of times the music that I'm listening to, rather than enjoying it, I'm maybe walking. It's like I'm doing something. I was listening to someone talking about how people don't sit in their room and listen to a record like they used to. And then, of course, someone out there is going to say, well, duh, I do. Of course. But, think about the people that read books. And do we read books and listen to music at the same time? I do if it's like instrumental, jazz, classical, something like that. But comic books and TV, that was a thing we would do. But looking at my phone, even the games on it, like there are times when I have to do the depression, and the word games I feel are, good for Alzheimer's, the number games, that type of stuff. But anything else, and I'm not casting aspersions or judgments or anything on people that do. But it's like, are we really digesting? Are we really investing our time in our entertainment? And this is kind of where I get upset when people are talking about stuff that they don't like. But we'll get into that. Let's talk about the best comics of last week. All right, first up, I already have these up here. Good. While we do that, let me do one thing. So the question is whether or not I'm going to be able to get another segment in. But if we do, I'm really excited. Best of last week, we have Marvel Rivals. I'm going to turn this off for symmetry. Marvel Rivals #1. I didn't order a lot of these, but then I upped my order a bit, and I thought nobody was going to care. But everybody seemed to care. Well, those few people seemed to care. And I definitely ordered the second print because that was a sell out. So congratulations to them. Marvel Rivals all the way. And it's getting people to care about comics. From what I understand, there is an increase in back issue sales for characters like It's Jeff because they're just rocking so bad, and people are really, really digging it. So there's an aspect to it that comic stores and comic fans can take a look and say, man, this is really driving something going on. And, maybe there is life for comic books out there. But what it probably is just like those few people that always have to go out and get that thing, FOMO. I got to be able to get one over on somebody. I got to have it to sell it. Not I'm lucky enough to have it and everybody wants it, that type of thing. But I'm not trying to look what people like, gift horse in the mouth. X-Men #14, still selling very well. Jed McKay, Ryan Stegman back on art. I didn't read this one, but to say it was good, I don't need to. It did well in the store, and I'm enjoying the series for the most part. Did not read X-Manhunt, and don't think I'm going to. Thank you very much. Absolute Green Lantern #1. All the Absolute and Ultimate books are doing very well, some more than others. But when it comes to the first issue, people are jumping on, and I ordered plenty. and I still have some, but it's doing very well. Not unlike Martian Manhunter, not unlike The Flash. We'll see how those are going forward, but I'm noticing that I have to start upping my numbers for books like Absolute Superman because it was a sellout. Selling more, unless it's a special or certain something going on, than the regular Superman, more than the action comic books. This absolute stuff is getting people really excited. Wonder Woman last week was a sellout. Absolute Superman this week was a sellout. I know that there's fluctuation in my store because of students leaving and students coming back, new students coming in and people leaving. But this did really, really well. And although I ordered the same amount at plus some of the book that I normally buy, I still sold out of the what seems to be very, very good Daredevil Cold Day in Hell, 1 of 3, by Charles Soufflet. Soule? Soule. Soule. Charles. And Steve McNiven, who I think is a wonderful illustrator. And it's a shame that he doesn't do enough or more. But here he is doing something. So be quiet, Yule, and be happy for 3 issues that are hopefully going to be monthly. Yeah. So this is a one. Pretty good stuff. And that was the best of last week. I think I have more of the Daredevil ordered, but I might not have been able to actually get it. So there is a possibility that I won't have any more until the second print, which I just ordered the other day. I want people to see my awesome Marvel shirt. Since we're going to be talking about Spider-Man, if we're talking about main events in a wrestling match, who's last? And of course, these are all the awesome 70s fonts. But I just wanted to stretch my legs. All right, let's go back to comments really quick. Tom Griffiths, we were doing the whole sex, lies, and videotape. I got it right. Love me some Transformers, Battle Buddy says. Yeah, I bet you do. Says Fantinuum and everybody else. Elithalore. Marvel spared every expense with the creative team for that Rivals comic. Did they? I don't remember Kubert being on it. Any of them. Also, that Absolutely line has been nothing but hits and Green Lantern. Well, what I've found is as people are reading the Ultimates, they are then, or the Ultimate, let's say Spider-Man or whatever they got into, as they're reading them, saving up and reading them, they're like, oh, damn. And I am ordering the second, and third, and fourth prints of things, and now they're not really available. So it's going to be like I have to get people on the trades into the issues, or then it's just trade. And that's when people fall off. But if I can get people trade into issues, then we're going to really know how that's going. But I've been selling the Ultimate Spider-Man trade really well. As those things were going on, people were buying the Ultimate Invasion trade. These are the collections of comic books for people that don't know. TPB, trade paperback, trade, graphic novel, if you're kind of snooty. Or unless it originally came from a graphic novel and not a comic book. If you saw that, that's the special hint as what might be coming. All right. I think it's time that we talk about some of the new comic books for tomorrow. Do I have the video? I might not have the video. Let me see. Why does it matter? It doesn't matter. You know what? It doesn't matter. New comic books for tomorrow. Boom. All right. First up, we have, and I'm going to turn this off for symmetry. When I start ranting about Wes and all them other people that do this kind of stuff, I'll put my face on. But first, we have Uncanny X-Men number 13. Why all of the... Well, there's two main X-Men books. So X-Men and Uncanny X-Men are doing very well for me. My numbers are tight but big, to the point where I have to expand from time to time. But the X-Manhunt series kind of I had to order books that I don't sell in greater numbers to meet the need for people that buy Uncanny X-Men and X-Men. And although I did a pretty darn good job, if I must say, that I did for myself, it still is, it's one of those, it's fluctuating. And like I've already told you, students leave, students come back. We're not like in the student area, but we do have them. And as people are finding out about comics from Marvel Rivals and maybe some movies or TV that they haven't seen before, things like that happen. X-Men, good selling book. In fact, almost all the books not all the books, but a larger majority than normal are the books that I put behind the counter, which I like to say are my cigarette books. But what they really are comic books that if I wasn't helping a customer, you might actually ask me for. So you might come into a store and be a little embarrassed or out of sorts or just not know what things are going on. And I like to design the store in a way so that a normal person might come in and be able to figure it out. I also try and make it so, of course, it's different now than it used to be, but I like to try and make it as simple so that staff that aren't me are able to figure it out also if I'm not around. So, these cigarette books are comic books that people would ask for. So I think that obviously the specificity of an absolute Superman might be difficult. It is so ubiquitous within the comic book community that people are going to come in if they don't see it and say, do you have absolute Superman? Do you have action? Do you have Superman? Do you have Spider-Man? Do you have Hulk? And, those kind of comic books, Uncanny X-Men, X-Men, these are books that are like, fantastic comics. We hold 7 copies each shelf. So it's the top 21 for fan. You know what? We're going to start doing a top 21. Wonder Woman recently moved out and I sold out. So like now I'm like second guessing whether or not it's not in the top 21. But I also tighten up my numbers a bit, which are, basically these cigarette comic books are the ones that you kind of have a feeling might actually have extra copies of, so you don't have to worry necessarily. Still, like I said last week, Absolute Superman was a sellout. All right, enough rambling. Oh, here it is, Transformers number 19. More than meets the eye. Congratulations, Ryan. I know I didn't play it first, but now you're getting it now.
You will win You will win
All right, it all ties in. All right, Ultimates number 11, the book everybody loves to hate by Dennis Camp. He's the Martian Manhunter writer. oh no, that's Al Ewing. He's the one that just the Green Lantern writer, right? Is that what it is? I just read the Martian Manhunter one by Al Ewing though, and that was really, really good. I liked it. Art was beautiful, scintillating. I even did the trick in the back. The thing is you got to take the cover off of, you have to not bend it, but get the cover out of the way so that you get the effect that you're supposed to get in Absolute Martian Manhunter number 1. And if you want to see what I'm talking about, come on into the store. Batman Absolute Batman number 7 comes out. Holy shit. I have not read anything past number 1, but Marcos Martin is doing art in this one. Oh, it's so good looking. If you didn't like Martian Manhunter, you're going to hate this. And if you don't like the way Martian Manhunter looked, we might have a problem having a conversation about comics going forward. And that's just to let you know. But here's something everybody is going to want to check out. And I promise you this is true. Promise you. Amazing Spider-Man #1. I don't know, 6th, 7th, 8th volume. What you want to do is count how many volumes have there been since the first volume ended. And then you're going to be like, holy cow, I swoon. And it's crazy. It took 50 freaking years to get to a second volume. And I was excited after the fact. I'm like, this is the last time you're going to ever be able to get an Amazing Spider-Man #1. How could I have been so foolish so late in my 20s? Pepe LaRosse is doing art in this, and it's freaking amazing. And I should have taken pictures of the individual issue, or at least had it here for you to see, because you're just going to have to trust me. Damn good book. Variant cover, Ryan Stegman. Very cool looking. Variant cover, a brand new villain that gets introduced in a backup story by John Romita Jr., if I'm not mistaken. He does 2 parts to the backup. Really good stuff. Cool. Let me just go to this one. We've got a Greg Land variant. Greg Land not doing like a porno chick? Crazy. Why would you even bother? Next up, we have a variant cover by Dimio, Simon Dumio, something like that. Next up, we've got a variant cover by, I only have one of these, Fantinuum. Who's that dude? That's that dude that does the real style. Bermejo. Good stuff. I don't know. I don't like looking at web shooters being real and the whole Marvels thing that Alex Ross did. As he started getting more into the less real, what a superhero would look like in a costume, and more like the Alex Ross style as a superhero, that's when he turned the corner for me. This does not turn the corner for me. It suits Batman, doesn't suit Spidey. So I only got one copy of it, but I did reorders after I read the first issue because it's that damn good. And lastly, Lane, pay attention. There you go. Is she in this issue? No. But it should be readily available. And like I said, I ordered more. All right. Which leads me to the topic of conversation and whether or not Spider-Man has been bad, whether Spider-Man has been good. And also, we're going to talk about the Berkeley Comic Show, where I met 2 people from that show that attended it. And they came in and I said, sometimes I don't do this all the time, but when I meet somebody new or I haven't said it to somebody for a long time or ever that I've known for a while, I let them know that we have this show here on Tuesday nights so that you can know about new comics that are coming out. That's it. No big deal. They let me know that they have a YouTube channel and it's called DLM, and they talk about the Berkeley Comic Show. And on the first one at the end, they talked about meeting a cool guy, me. Now, I'm not going to say I met cool people, but the one dude was wearing a Tick shirt. So, take that for what you will. Spoon. No, I thought they were pretty cool dudes. It was fun talking to people about comic books. They don't like CGC and slabs. I don't like CGC and slabs. In fact, I thought I ordered some that were going to be here for this Tuesday. Next Tuesday, I'll be cracking some slabs. So pay attention to that. Stay tuned for that. But I went to the Berkeley Comic Show. Well, actually, after I had bid and paid for some comic books that I won, one that I didn't need and one that I did need, I was like, man, I know this one site called Four Color Comics that has a lot of Spideys, and I know that his grading or their grading is pretty top notch. And the prices are lower unless it's slabbed. And I know he has what he considers good condition comics or near mint condition comics that aren't slabbed in addition to ones that he has slabbed. And the whole, bidding on stuff and not getting it and hoping you get enough wins so that you can get better shipping situations. That's why I bought the one I have double of. So I actually then after that, I purchased some books. And the idea is that I'm trying to get to Spider-Man 151 to 251. And I've been working on this off and on for quite a long time, ever since I lived on Harper Street. And the only person here that knows anything about that is Jill. But that shows you how very little I've been actually paying attention. I mean, I imagine all the things I've spent money on over that time or not spent money on over that time would have easily paid for all of these books, even at the most ludicrous prices. Thankfully, 151 to 251 doesn't have the first edition of Punisher. There's no comic that I don't already have that isn't maybe worth four figures. Maybe. None of them really are. But then the pandemic happened. And in all industries that have sales online and stuff like that, we've seen an increase in numbers. Anyway, this is what I bought from Four Color Comics. And I did press them afterwards. And one book I was a little disappointed in the grade that I got, but the price was fine. And also the pressing for the most part made it pretty good. So I cleaned them up and pressed them. And most of them were really, really good and exactly what I would suggest are near mint minus or near mint plus or whatever the hell they're calling a 9.4, 9.6 or whatever. So I've got the 217. This is the Hydro Man Sandman team up. I need it. And I didn't have to pay a lot of money like I did with that auction. 240. For some reason, when you go to shows, you just don't see 240s that often. And when you do, they're in the $3 box or the $2 box or the $1 box. And you know what you're getting when you're getting something from a $1 box. Unless you get something that was like one of like 15 and it's right in the middle, you're probably getting some fucked up copies. Well, these aren't fucked up copies, although I still felt the need to press them. And where you're getting most of your dings or your problems are on the spine. But overall, this one was very, very good, and I liked it a lot. Put it in Mylar. It's ready to go. 241. This is the one that was a little bit of a bitch. It had two lines right here. And unless you take it out and touch it, you probably aren't ever going to feel it. It's nice that it's on white. It also made a little indentation on the inside, but that's gone now. And these are it could easily have been from a printer situation anyway, where these were. Nonetheless, this is a very nice copy with like maybe a ding. No, those were the main dings right there, and it took it to the back. But it's a lot better now. Definitely a near mint minus now, if it wasn't then. 241. And a book I have a problem finding really, 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 really nice copies is 247. It's in this black area right here. And a lot of times in this purple, you'll see the indentation maybe or something. There were a couple and maybe even like a color break in here, but I helped it out a lot. And it's a really, really nice copy. And once again, you're not paying con, slabbed, or auction prices when you're getting something like this. This is the real price of this book. Just remember, And I'm not telling you, $24. $24. Now, when I went to the Berkeley Comic Show, and these need to be taken care of also, I got Spider-Man number 153. Now, this was many 247 to 153. You know, we're talking 100 issues right here, basically. And I needed this one. Jerry Conway wrote this. I think it's Keith Pollard on art. I could be wrong. The art's fine. The story, this one's shit. If anybody's ever read this standalone story is shit. And for anybody that's dogging on comic books that are Spider-Man today, and they read this, they should know that this is shit. As most Jerry Conway books are. Nonetheless, I needed this because it's part of 151 to 251. I was never a slave to needing all the issues. And in fact, when I look at most of my comic book collection, unless it's like a mini series, there was often an issue that I might not have got. These are from a selection that I've decided many years ago that I wanted. And this I got at the con also. So these last two are at the con. 163. I think this is in much better condition than the other one. But if I was comparing this guy's grade to Four Color Comics, Four Color Comics wins out 3 out of 4 comics. This guy wins 0 out of 2. But I still bought them because it's older, it's harder to find in as good a condition. And there was another comic that I saw, and it had like the color, and I think in this one too, you can see the color from the inside interior, from the commercial in the back. So these will be near mint minus, but I mean, it's a stretch. It's like VFNM, so like an 8 really. But when you buy, like Jill knows that when a person is going to buy my X-Men collection and my Amazing Spider-Man collection, the older ones, they're going to know they're going to get the most tits books there are around. And that's including all those fucking 9/8 CGCs. Because let me tell you, I'm going to be cracking one, and we know I've cracked a bunch. I took them out of their sleeves. I rebagged them. They're just not as good as they said. A 9.4, a 9.6, I'm really paying for that. Garbage. This book, though, is garbage. But I needed it. Now, let's talk about Wes. He wanted to talk about Spider-Man and a new book that was coming out. And there was a report, and this was last week. Again, you can go down and check in the comments. He wanted to talk about the new Spider-Man book that was coming out.
I can almost feel like I was in the meeting. You know, you had CB, you've got Tom Brevoort, you got Nick Lowe, Joe Kelly talking about what do you plan on doing with Amazing Spider-Man with this new relaunch? Tom's like, whoa. That sounds like character progression. We're not exactly looking at character progression. What can you do with the character that maybe mines stuff that exists? Can we take him back to high school? And Joe's like, well, you know, high school is pretty much done. You know, we've explored it. We've re-explored it. It's probably empty at this point. It's like, well, can we take him back to college? Now, that's even been mined harder. You know, the college years are kind of over. We already put him back in college as an adult. That didn't really work. I don't know that we can explore the college stuff. And then Brevoort's like, well, maybe we need to go back further before he was even Spider-Man. And Joe's like, so you want me to take him back to middle school? We should go back to what he's like in 7th grade? Oh, yeah. That's fertile fucking playing ground right there. We haven't done anything with Spider-Man before he was actually Spider-Man.
Wes, did you need a curse? My goodness gracious. We're only talking about a Spider-Man comic book. And for people that don't know, Tom Brevoort is the editor of the comic book, who also has made some waves last week, and we'll get into that in just a second, or I should say Wes will. And Joe is Joe Kelly, a man of action, a friend of Joe Casey, and a man who I think made the greatest Superman comic of all time. And no, I'm just joking. He's a great writer. They did Ben 10 together, along with the other men of action. Joe Kelly just recently did Immortal Sergeant for Image Comics. He did Kill All Giants, something like that. I Kill Giants, which was made into a Netflix movie that I heard was pretty good. Didn't watch it. And so these men of action, they do some pretty darn good stuff, including like a Spider-Man series that I thought was pretty cool. I watched a couple episodes, and I think he's like the right man for the job. But he did do Spider-Man before this new #1 was started up tomorrow, next week. And a lot of people weren't really into the 8 deaths of Spider-Man, but of course, I don't know. I just think it was a philosophical situation and look and delve into the character of who Spider-Man Peter Parker is and the lives that he touches. And having reread it, I found a lot of merit and worth. And I find that when the collection comes out, this will be one of those things I can actually sell to somebody without them having to need to know all the other stuff about Spider-Man. I want something that really gets me into the who the Spider-Man is. Well, he's not always just crying over Gwen Stacy like Jeff Loeb did in Blue. Even though he's got a piece like Mary Jane at home, you know what I mean? So that was Wes saying this was the pitch, and the thing is that Spider-Man is going to be looking more at his earlier life, pre-Spider-Man. And having already read the comic, I can let you know right now, it's not really that big a deal, or it's not. It's like elements of a person's life playing into the story that's going on right now. Could you imagine? All right, any of you that have moved from home? I have. So let's just say me right now. I've moved from home. And a friend from my childhood comes into my life over here. Well, how coincidental? Well, yeah, it is if you're only watching this very part of my story. But if we're getting an instant, a little snapshot in a person's life and how it relates to now, it's not necessarily that bad. And I think that's pretty much what is going on and how Joe's doing it. And even though 8 Does initially wasn't something I was into, I found myself enjoying it later, even with the other writers and illustrators on the book. If this can be a little bit more cohesive and the creative team sticking on it going forward, I don't think it's going to be that big a deal. But Wes wanted to let you know about last week's Spider-Man week, and this is what he had to say.
Because I am enjoying Spider-Man week. The reveal that MJ is now the new Venom, that was great stuff. The Tom Brevoort telling people just don't buy Amazing Spider-Man if we can't do what you want, that was great stuff. The Spider-Man Brand New Day movie title, that was great stuff. And then obviously the cherry on this shit Sunday is we're going to go and explore Spider-Man before he was Spider-Man.
Well, I pretty much told you how that went. And again, the Tom Brevoort, he went off on like a podcast or something, and he let Spider-Man fans know that if you're really invested in the Mary Jane, Peter Parker angle, you're going to be disappointed. Maybe you might not want to read this book. I would have personally enjoyed him to say why people should read the book rather than address that situation. But like I said, I think a louder minority of people that read Amazing Spider-Man give a shit. You got to get over it. What you have to realize is that somebody 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago got into Spider-Man and Mary Jane wasn't a thing. Or she was, but then it really wasn't. If you don't like the Paul situation and that stupid story, I don't have a problem with that. If you don't like the Ms. Marvel storyline, I don't have a problem with that. I needed to get this fucking book to complete 100 issues in a row of something I did so long ago. And I've been holding off picking up this book because I got the trade that collects it. And it's a horrible issue. But I needed to get it. It's okay if you don't like something. You don't have to buy it. There are so many holes in my collection. I didn't like those fun little Kitty Pryde stories. I didn't like the annual where she did it. I didn't like with the Kurt as a pirate, or any of that shit. I didn't want to see Dave Cockrum doing art anymore. We all go through these phases. If you think all right, this is where I really have a problem with what Wes was talking about. He references a journalism site.
And this was, in fact, covered by Bounding Into Comics this week. Want to give them a shout out. In continuing to double down on the publisher's at this stage unhealthy obsession with the idea that the wall crawler never, ever be allowed to grow up, Marvel Comics writer Joe Kelly has confirmed that rather than looking to the future and allowing the hero to undergo any significant character development, his upcoming Amazing Spider-Man run will instead focus on exploring Peter Parker's early teenage years.
They write that article like they have a point of view. You know what I mean? And I won't give them a shout out. And I didn't put them in the comments down below because I didn't go and look at their article. I appreciate them finding out about stuff and then writing about it, but they do it so that you don't want to buy it, or so that you're angry by it, or whatever they call it, hate by it. Pepe Larraz does the art. It's really good. And the story's darn good. I like it a lot too. It really you have to go in. Well, you don't have to go in. There has been he answers all the things you have to know. Not one little bit of Mary Jane in that book, or at least in the first story. I didn't read the backups, but those are drawn by John Romita Jr. I'm looking forward to it. These guys at Bounding Into Comics, and this isn't necessarily a slam, but they have a slant. They have a point of view that they're going to address all of their stuff. You know what I mean? They're going to talk about that Snow White movie. It's like, think about it this way. If you know these things, MSNBC, CNN, Fox, and then there's people that are like, no, Fox is over, or CNN's way over here. And then the other people are, CNN's way over here. No, CNN's just shit. But they have that wonderful whoever you like. Or, you can do it with, I'm sure there's television program or comedy. Another thing, I didn't watch the wrestling because of that one. Oh yeah, I already said it. That one douchehead. You got your liberal comedians, and you got your conservative comedians, and you get your people in the middle that people say is either over here or over here, and then it's like, you can't win for trying. You know what I mean? But Bounding Into Comics definitely has a slant. However you look at it. There's not that many out there, and I appreciate the fact that I don't fucking appreciate anything. I appreciate that there's pictures to go along with their words. But, it gave a little bit of conversation to have. No, comic IPs have to be stagnant. Listen to what?
Teenage years. Good to know that I'm not the only one. Just a little bit frustrated with the fact that Marvel Comics can do nothing interesting with Peter Parker, Amazing Spider-Man. We could only regress the character. We have to keep him in a constant state of arrested development because they never want him to grow up. It's this weird obsession that Peter Parker remain forever young. He must always be 12 or 13, 14 years old. He could never actually be a grown man, even though technically, I believe by Marvel's sliding timeline, he's like 28, 29, perhaps even 30 years old at this point.
Yeah, he's that old, Wes. You said it yourself. He's going back in time. Something from his life. All right. I'm watching The Closer with Jill these days. Pretty fun show, by the way. And you know what? I'm gonna. It hasn't made my my favorite list, but here's my favorite list, including YouTube channels. Some that I haven't watched in a while. So are they really my favorite? And comic books and music. I highly recommend you take a look at all of these things. All of these things. Having said that, Peter Parker. So this book even says it's 15 years since I knew you. So 7, 10 years old, 15, 25, 30, something like that. He is. Yeah, those are the years that Spider-Man is. That Peter Parker is. He has aged slowly. Hey, everybody, if you think fucking Peter Parker hasn't aged much in those years that he's aged up, go check out Franklin Richards. Because when Peter Parker was in high school, I think Franklin Richards was born. If you really want to start bitching about something, you should what about that Powers lady, that girl from the Power Pack? She was a little girl, and now she's a big lesbian. What she's gained even more years than Peter Parker. You got a problem with something. I got other freaking Marvel characters that Peter Parker and Franklin Richards are the problem within the Marvel timeline. I'm not going to go and do the work because I ain't that big a nerd, but I notice it. And if I notice it, someone else out there that is that big a nerd should have already done the numbers for you. No, these characters can't progress. You didn't want Snake Eyes to not be a white guy under the mask. That ain't progressive. You know what I mean? I mean, take whatever you like that gets changed and ultimately gets moved back. The Doctor's going to die and an new one's going to come and they're going to start fresh and they're going to do that. There's going to be a new person on the Enterprise. And all the things that they should have known from all the things that happened before are going to be forgotten. And somehow Star Wars technology is going to look even cooler and better and awesomer than the past than it did way in the future, which was the original Star Wars movies. You know what I mean? Come on. Come on. Get over it. They're IPs. If you want, yes, the problem with characters is you had a chance for a black Batman and Bruce Wayne gone, and you got upset with that. You had a chance with Dick Grayson being Batman, and you got upset with that, and then Bruce Wayne came back. You got upset that Spider-Man Peter Parker can't be with Mary Jane anymore because of some stupid ass story. This is a stupid ass story. I dare you to read 153. It's on the internet. I haven't read that in a while, but it's really bad. No, he can't progress. He ultimately has to come back. You were bitching about the X-Men and how all the toys are getting thrown out of the toy chest and not being put back. Mary Jane wasn't putting the toys back, just to let you know, as far as Spider-Man is concerned. His default is the thing that you go to so that you can tell future stories. He acts irrationally. That's his character. No, he doesn't grow up. You want 50-year-old Spider-Man. If that's the case, then you're going to get 20-year-old Spider-Boy. You know what I mean? Look, you don't want to read these comics anymore is really what it is. Or you want to read other comics. Stop reading Spider-Man. If you don't like it, don't look at it. All right, back to new comics. All right, turn off the camera for symmetry. We've got Batman Dark Patterns. Did I already say that? This has been doing really well in the store. Dan Waters, I'm enjoying his Nightwing. I'm a couple issues behind, but it is good. And Dark Patterns, I guess, is good. Spawn 363, 362 was a sellout, and I really, really like this cover. I don't give a shit about Spawn at all, except I need to order 362, which I did. So, yeah, there you go. Spawn sells. That's the rule. It might not be big, but it sells. Also, it's going up in price soon. So the $2.99 comic that everybody was hanging their hats on, and it is because of the tariffs, and probably the way because of Tom McFarlane votes. Yeah, eat shit, bitch. Oh, I'm sorry. I mean my customers. Geiger, number 13. Doing really well. Ghost Machine's picking up by a couple of numbers, but not a lot of numbers. Not enough to be cigarette books, you know what I mean? Here's a cigarette book. Hulk number 24. I'm an issue behind, but I've been really enjoying it. Is that Clea? Is that what I'm supposed to think? I don't know who Walker is on art. Unfortunately, Nick Klein isn't doing the art, so one of my customers that was in the Transformers spin isn't going to be able to get this one. Oh no, that's another thing. Never mind. Yeah, no Nick Klein. Daredevil number 20. JR Jr. covers. One customer said to me, they saw me, checking the books in. That's an ugly cover. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I mean, maybe you don't like the black costume or JR Jr. I mean, it's all right. There's nothing exciting about it at all. I guess I'm supposed to think what happened to Elektra. I mean, Daredevil. You know how it is these days. Aquaman number 4. Really like the first issue. Really like the art by John Timms. Haven't read any of the other ones. Cool stuff. I sold out of number 3, had to reorder it. Almost sold out of it again. So people are liking it or picking it up at least. So Aquaman number 4. The Great British Bump Off. This is by I'm gonna have to move the banner to find out. No, it doesn't say. I can't. Oh no, this banner. Hold on a sec. John Allison. I knew it was John Allison. They did like a British Bake Off bump off, and I don't know, there was some other stuff, but it's cute, fun stuff, and maybe for those of you that are upset with Spider-Man, this is something everybody should want, regardless of what you like. G.I. Joe, Real American Hero, Silent Missions, One Shot, Jinx. And I love how Dan Waters, if you recall, Nightwing and Batman Dark Patterns, he's writing the silent mission, which means there's no writing at all. So the cover artist that you see here, Danny, I don't know, boy, girl, whatever, is doing the art on the inside. So take that, all you people that really enjoy DNA. Wouldn't it be cool if DNA did some interiors? Well, maybe this isn't in quite the same style as DNA, but I really do enjoy Danny's work, and to see some interiors and not have to be bogged down by needless writing in a G.I. Joe comic book is definitely for me. Cool cover. Mark Miller and Per Berg. Oh, I know who this is. No shit. No wonder I saw this. So I'm going to out this person. This is a digital artist number 1. So I can't remember. I bet I have one of the crowd-funded comic books by Zach. But Per Berg is that artist that does some of the art on one of those books. And I could be wrong because I really don't think I liked any of this person's art because, number 1, it was so fucking sparse and digital that I couldn't see past it. And I know that Mark Miller was like, "Oh, I'm going to work with somebody," and blah 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 blah. He's kind of like courting the CG people. We all court people. I'm not slamming Mark Miller for it. And his art is different and interesting, but not full enough. It's just lines on a digital canvas that I don't know. It doesn't work for me, but I could be wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. You can tell me in the comments. Maybe I finally we'll get more than 100 views. Fire and ice when hell freezes over. I guarantee there will be no minimum of 4 shitty conversations about this book. Maybe I'm wrong. There are some really, really cool covers. I think DNA does one of them. And obviously Terry Dodson does too. Fire and Ice didn't do really well for me, but I knew the people that were going to like it, and so it did well for me. And if you're a comic store that's buying 50 copies and you can't move them, you're pretty stupid. Moon is following us. The Moon is following us by Daniel Warren Johnson. He does some art, and some of the art is by Riley Rossmo. In the present day or the real life scenario, we have Daniel Warren Johnson and then Riley Rossmo doing the fantasy, science fiction-y, crazy setting. Cool cover. This is the Rossmo one. I actually order more of the Daniel Warren Johnson covers than I do the A cover. But I thought the first 2 issues were really cool, and it's going to make a great graphic novel. I'll be selling it for as long as I am a comic store going forward, just like I do all Daniel Warren Johnson books. By the way, Beta Ray Bill just got collected recently, and if you're a Thor / Beta Ray Bill fan, or just I love awesome fucking aliens kicking ass and feeling things comics, that one's for you. Oh yeah, and a little bit of wrestling. Green Lantern Corps #3. Only so many people are really enjoying this book. I think they all read Green Lantern. Jeremy Adams. We need 100 thumbs up to get him on the show. We have an in, but come on, people. Doctor Strange of Asgard. What is the former Sorcerer Supreme doing now that Doctor Doom is the biggest big magic dude in the Marvel U? Well, find out in this comic book. Oh, look, Loki's here. What happened to who? Is that Sif? Anyway, a lot of customers have been telling me that this was a very good book. I sold out, got more back in, sold out again. So jump in. It's a 5-issue miniseries, but it seems like one of the better ones that are tied in with Doctor Strange, A One World Under Doom. And last but not least, I can't believe this in no particular order, a book that had another book before, a miniseries called Golden Rage. This is like old women that didn't have kids killing things. Oh, Image Comics, you image all the time. And that's new comic books for next week. All right. Oh, my goodness gracious. It's 1:25. Can I do this fast enough? I think I can. I want to bring the images up. So let's see if I can talk and erase and bring up comic book pages at the same time. The first thing I want to show to you, though, is this. And I'm gonna, again, I can do it this way. I like it this way more, so I can keep my beautiful mug on the camera for you. I don't think it's going to remain this way. I bought a collection. I buy collections from people, but I don't always buy collections from people. I bought a collection and it had Conan #9. Actually, let me remove Conan #9 right here. A beautiful comic book. Not this issue as far as the condition, but it's really good. It doesn't It doesn't smell bad like old comics do, because you got to understand this comic book came out in 1971. I'm 55 years old. I was 1 when this book came out. You know what I mean? If I was Chinese, I'd be 2. Drawn by Barry Windsor Smith. Interestingly, the embellisher, which means they did a lot more art than they should have, was Sal Buscema. And look at the panel work in this. Just it's so much panels, which I have these pages. You can see maybe through right here, my nose. See me moving there. Anyway, there's a staple missing. But even still, this is a really nice comic book as far as just reading it. It'd probably be like $3 if I had a dollar bin. We're going to be talking about this book, but as I was looking through it, and the thing is like, I got to admit, there are sometimes I don't look through comic books. You do. You kind of do it like this. But I saw a piece of paper, and I took this picture, and it says, "Hey, John, packing up to move, and thought I would send this along. It's the last comic I have. Must have bought it back in the day in Claremont. Keep thinking I'd stop and see you on a road trip, but my trips keep falling through. And I may just be on the bus to wherever this time. Read it so we can discuss it over a beer. Also included the Frazetta art from an old Tarzan book, which I do believe I have. And I've had this book for years now. You know what I mean? I just saw it. Some other stuff. Other stuff tossed in. Buddy, old something Buddy Lyle. So Lyle. And I'm like, holy shit. Some guy sent this to somebody and they ultimately sold it to me, or somebody that they bought it from sold it to me. Then they didn't know what they had. And I was like, I have to read this fucking book. You know what I mean? Like, what? Let's share a beer over Conan number 9. And I think the best way to do it is in a segment that we haven't done in quite a while. I promised another one, but we've not yet done it. And none of you remember.
Here! I'm down here! Down here!
Mr. Sheldon?
That's right. We're going to take a trip down to Mother's basement. Let me just get the background. Oh, well, you can't see it. I'll bring this picture up so you can see it. A trip down to Mother's basement. I better have it. There it is. Oh my gosh. It's scary down here. Let me turn off the camera and I'm going to oh yeah, I didn't bring up the pictures. Jeez, I'm so stupid. So we're going to talk about Conan number 9. This is a wonderful comic book. Again, illustrated by Barry Windsor Smith, written by Roy Thomas, one of the co-creators of Wolverine. And the first things up, we're going to check out the cover. All right, look at that. So we have Conan. And he's falling from the sky in the Garden of Fear. What's there to fear in the Garden of Fear? You got to ask. Well, I'm going to let you know just as soon as I get a few more pictures up. Barry Windsor Smith. This is off the cuff. I'm not actually the biggest Barry Windsor Smith fan. Actually, I'm not the biggest Barry Windsor Smith coloring fan. So this one is, it says artist Barry Smith, embellisher Sal Buscema, Sam Rosen is the letterer. Based on the story The Garden of Fear by Robert E. Howard, creator of Conan. So in one issue, and Conan just recently became a monthly series. It was a bi-monthly to begin with. But excuse me. Barry Windsor Smith has never really been one of my favorite artists, and he definitely is not one of my favorite Conan artists. And I know there's a lot of people out there that are. But even Frazetta said if I was going, the more realistic or true representation of Conan is John Buscema, John Buscema, however you say his name. But this is a fantastic issue. I do like Barry Windsor Smith from time to time. It's just his coloring or his palette is something that doesn't really strike a chord with me. Or if it does strike a chord with me, it's one that I just don't like. Whoops, don't want to do that. Okay, first up. So we're just going to run through these pages, talk about what they are. I took them straight from the comic itself so that you could get kind of idea with what the other page looks like. I know it's small. It's not as big as it might be. If you're watching this after the fact, you can blow up the screen, but then you won't be able to see all these wonderful ads on the left-hand side. But it says, for many a night and day have they traversed the bleak backbone of the sky-reaching mountain range. Now a gently rolling slope lies before them. And I love the way the lettering is just kind of wavy and curving and, just kind of flowing with the narration. And narration is something I really miss from comic books. And Conan and the girl, because, who cares about the girl's name, can forget the weary days, the freezing, beast-haunted nights. Yet there is a deadlier foe by far than the prowling hill panther or the screeching black-taloned condor. There is also man. And they don't have any sort of language that Conan or the lady understands, so she is falling off the horse. Crom's devils. And the humanoids, the men, they attack. They're going for the woman. They're going for Conan. The bottom of the left-hand page here, number 3, is some really good action in the 1960s style of Marvel storytelling. And I mean, I just feel like, this feels still very Kirby, but becoming more Barry Windsor Smith than the earlier issues were. I still feel that Conan is way too frail for what Robert E. Howard wrote. Definitely growing up reading John Buscema comics as they were coming out in the Conan and the monthly mags. Awesome inkers just working on the book and Roy Thomas stories. But this definitely is a fun little action sequence. It goes on over where they're fighting, and then finally an older wise man stops it. Conan realizes that this guy's name is Hialmar, Hialmar, and that he's going to go hang out with them. And so the girl and Conan go off with them. They eat food that's barely cooked. And then Conan's like, hey, I'm going to go dance. And then he goes and dances with the people. The lady is like thinking about him. Here, let me just get that page open so I can read it. Then with reckless abandon, the Cimmerian throws himself into full frenzy into the hillman's dance, while the girl from Shadizar ponders the fine line of difference between hill savages and her strange northern barbarian. Because he's obviously rescued her and they're traveling together. I like Robert E. Howard's writing. I think it's pretty good anyway, and I think Roy Thomas does a good job translating it into comic books of that time. We all know that the perfect comic book adaptation of Conan is Kurt Busiek and Carrie Nord. Later on, we got other artists that work on the book, but his Conan the Barbarian for Dark Horse Comics was scintillating. And the only additions to the stories, if we're talking like Bible stories, is the Born on the Battlefield stories that, I guess if Wes was reading them, finding out about him, he might be pretty upset. Little jab. All right, next up. We've got Conan and the lady, they're talking, and then there's a wind in the middle, and she's like, what's that wind? He's like, what? There's no wind. And he's like, Crom, what in the... And then there's a figure that appears and takes the girl out of Conan's grasp and into the air. Conan gets the help of the other people, or he's like, really what he's like saying, what's going on? What's going on? And this one guy says, Garaka, Garaka, that name that lives, or that name for which lives beyond the cliffs. And the way they return listless to their fires, as if this has happened to them before. And it would happen again. But this time, it happened to me. So Conan was given in a previous page some weapons because he had none. His horse had run away, but he was given a rope, he was given a fire, and he was given a knife. And he goes into this, I guess you're going to say a clearing, because over a gap is where this winged creature took the girl. Still don't know her name. And Conan has to go into the depths of it and then up out and then try and figure out where she is. But there's these big like elephant style creatures, and Conan has to go wade through them. And he's like, all right. And he gets on in there, and then one of the elephants sniffs at him. And I like the wariness in his face here. This is where Barry Windsor Smith is doing some really good stuff. Let me go back. Here we got the elephants. I love his panel layouts actually a lot. And maybe I'm not so fond of Conan's face if I had to be picky on the lower left. But over here in the middle, it really pays off. And when you're seeing these long, elongated panels, his frame does work. And again, he's working from a very Kirby style anyway. It's a lot of narration by the author and a lot of conversation by Conan. And then everything else is just art. And here you see Conan going through the water. When he comes up, he's gasping for air. Really well done. This is just some fantastic stuff. And as you're seeing the tower where Conan is going to, you see it laid out before you perfectly. And if you don't see what's going on, you will. Conan's looking up above, and here's the thing it says. Let me say. He stands stock still, for there is life and movement atop the forbidding parapet. A man. But a man stepped straight from a barbarian's deepest nightmares. And let me tell you, I mean, what would a barbarian think is a nightmare? I don't think there's anything as racial as some people might want to think from this. Tall and ebon black, he stands as powerful pinions fold about his shoulders. Hawk-like, he surveys his lost domain in the pre-dawn glow, taking no notice of the motionless man below. So everything we're seeing, Conan is seeing. No big deal. And then the winged man goes and picks up a form, and he's like, Conan's like, Jenna. And oh yeah, now we know the girl's name, Jenna. But it's not Jenna. It's another one of the hillman from before. Probably one of the reasons why they're like Garaka, and then they go and they look at the fire. Kind of like it's been a sacrifice. It's going to be made. And he gets dropped into these plants, and Conan's like, why are you screaming? Stop your screaming. I'm going to go in there. And then he realizes, Holy shit. Oh, wait. Am I on the right page? He sees the man. I want to stop with this Arnold. It's pretty funny that the Joe Weider advertisement is in a well, it's in all Marvel comics, obviously, but it's here in this Conan comic. And we don't got a picture of Joe Weider because this guy has the arms that will make her, she'll love the look of your arm power. New hell belt for leather and lead bracelets. They turn your arm power on. Oh, Joe Weider. I had a roommate that had like Joe Weider magazines, and he was like totally taking like supplements and shit like that. Anyway, so there he goes. He picks the guy up, the hillman. He drops him in the flowers. Conan goes in and he's like, "What the F?" And then he realizes that these flowers are attacking, and as he's looking, he sees like basically the smoke of the desiccated corpse of the man that fell into the flowers. And he's like, "Huh, what's that sound from above?" And he's like, "The winged one." And the winged one goes in and he picks up Jenna, and then he like holds her over and he's like, "If you come any closer, I'm gonna drop her in this shit." And so Conan just goes and he leaves. It says, "And the young barbarian could do nothing save swallow the pantherous rage within him, nothing save turn his back and stride off toward the forest." Let me tell you, if you hate Mary Sue's, you're going to hate Gary Stu Conan, because this guy always has the answers, let me tell you. Because off he goes back, and off he goes, and the winged creature follows or is following him with his eyes until he leaves. And I need to bring up just a couple more pages. All right. He's looking, and he's like, he goes all the way back to where the tusked creatures were. They're called tuskers. And he's all, "But you wouldn't fear the winged one, would you? Because the guy flies over above." He's all, "There's nothing to fear for me." "No, there is but one thing you would fear. One thing in all the world." And he takes the ability to light fire because, he was given the flint. And he starts a fire. And with that, he starts a rampage of the tusked ones. And off they go. And Conan is following right behind. It says here, behind them the fire which roars like an earth-consuming storm, and the frail manling forgotten by the Titans in their headlong flight, yet treading hard upon their Leviathan heels. Good writing. I think that's some good stuff. It's still in the Merry Marvel way that Stan Lee promoted. He was all about, not since Shakespeare has something so eloquently been brought forth for blah, 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 blah. The way he did. Let's see if these will finally come up. Next up, we have Conan. Now, so that these creatures, did it show it? Oh yeah, they trampled all on the flowers. So whereas one of those creatures might have been severely messed up, the tuskers, the elephants, if you will, with all of them, they were able to trample on the lives of the man-eating flowers. And so, although the tower might have been, initially devastated by them, it didn't happen. The Conan follows in. He uses the rope that he got. It's all very Lord of the Rings. He got the rope he picks up. He climbs the tower. The creature with the wings fights him. Some really cool art. It says, One shrill screech of the winged one utters, and one alone. Then he hurls himself at the barbarian, his corded muscles carrying Conan before him like a limp doll, and his great black wings lifting both man and demon high into the fast darkening dawn, but perhaps not high enough. There's a lot of commercials on these pages, just to let you know. Conan is able to fight him off. The thing is just about to take him out, but so let me just read this to you. It says, this is some great stuff. It really gets into the psyche of Conan. It talks about questions. There are so many questions the winged one alone could answer, like where does he come from? What is he? Is he the last of his type? It questions whether or not that happened. Questions which would fall like the sudden rain from the lips of civilized men, of scholars, but not from Conan's as he picks up his... What is he picking up his knife? What is it like to be the lone survivor of a legend birthing race? How did it feel to see Atlantis and Lemurria rise from the mire of savagery, become mighty empires, only to sink at last, engulfed by man's hungering seas? And they fall through the top that they are at. They fall through the glass. And Conan asks Jenna, "The winged one, is he?" And she's all, "He's dead, Conan." And then as they're leaving, all Jenna can do is ask him questions. Well, typical. She's all, "How can you joke about a thing like this? Don't you really care about my feelings at all?" He's all, "Let's go. The sun's coming up." He's all, "The storm died as he died." And I love the panel layouts. These are great. Really long as they're walking down these corridors, leaving the area that they're in. And she's all, "Must we leave so soon? There may be riches." And he's already scolded her once about her desires, for her greedy desires. And then she says, "Besides, don't you want to learn what these symbols mean, or why this image is carved here with the hair flame? All I know is that my hairs stand like flames on the nape of my neck," he says. "And they will until this valley is just a bad memory." Conan has no desire. He does not care. He just wants to leave this area. It's funny, like he'll go into a big old thing when he like wants something, but if he just wants to like get out of it, he just wanted to get out. He just wanted to get the girl, get out. And there you go. That's a Conan story. But even more, there's this cool letter. I was looking at the letters columns. I'm a man. 2 out of the 3 letters are from California. All right. "Dear Stan, Roy, and Barry." Stan gets the lead. "I'm not one who usually writes letters of praise, but Conan number 5 gave me so much enjoyment that I had to write. After seeing some of Barry's Kirby Steranko imitations," that is a quite a slam there, if you will, "I became one of his most ardent critics. I became so prejudiced against his art that if I find it hard now to believe that I am writing in praise of it. And I want everybody to think about when they don't like something. I didn't like Reservoir Dogs. I saw it and I was like, oh, this guy's just being sensationalist. Oh, people in comics would have said he's being like Mark Miller. Oh, he's raping little babies. Of course he is. Maybe this wasn't that bad, but this guy admits he became prejudiced about it. It seems, however, that Barry is finally coming into his own, and his art is now more sophisticated than even the King's was at a comparable time. Still giving King his praise. 3 improvements are evident to me. 1, his toning down of the exaggerated proportion of limbs, which seem to go Kirby one better, and I totally agree with this guy. 2, his better grasp of layouts. Again, I totally agree with this guy. And 3, the very good use of shadows, which is just perfect for a mag like Conan. Again, can't disagree at all. Another improvement is the wealth of detail present in his drawings, which is the proof of the effort he has obviously put in the mag. And you can't deny that with anything that Barry Windsor Smith has ever done. Look at his Avengers. Look at his books that aren't Marvel and DC. Does he do DC? Nor are Barry's efforts the only ones evident. Roy's efforts to make Conan a great mag are also in evidence. In fact, I don't recall so much care being given to the production of any comic mag since the Roy Thomas, Neil Adams, Tom Palmer team up in the X-Men series. And if anybody's ever read those, you know that's some pretty high praise. I realize there might be technical problems, and again, I totally agree with this person. But please, if at all possible, try a Smith-Palmer team up. Now I disagree. It can't miss. Harry S. Fung, University of California, Berkeley, California. They changed the area code, everybody. There was also somebody in San Bernardino saying where they went to school. And I was like, wow, that's very weird. I don't see that in letters columns anymore. The response may be better than what Tom Brevoort might respond to somebody. It didn't, friend, at least not in a handful of pages which Titanic Tom Palmer inked of our last issue when inker Tom Sutton, don't get them confused now, got slowed down a bit, and Mr. P came to his and our rescue. So it has happened, but of course these issues or letters were written before the issue came out. So that is Your Mother's Basement, Conan number 9. I'm really excited to finally have been able to talk about this one. I read it when that letter came out, or when I read that letter, like I had to read it immediately. And I'm happy to share a beer with you, Lyle. What was your buddy's name? It would have been so awesome if his buddy's name was the letter, one of the letter writers. One of them would have been awesome. It's John and Lyle. So hey, we all had a metaphoric beer with John and Lyle, whatever you're drinking. That's pretty awesome. We're going to go on 2 hours in just a second. So hang on just a second. That's right. It's almost the end of the show. I showed you the Spider-Man. I told you number 1 was awesome. Come get it tomorrow at the store that you patron udge. And don't forget our Patreon. And these are all our Patreon members. I've updated the list. I got rid of some people, and I didn't add the free people. I don't really care. I just really appreciate you all. And if you want to be seen, you don't want to be like this guy.
You know, my last name is Costanza. That's Italian. So you and I are kind of like countrymen. Huh?
Paisanos! 650 your change.
Ah, yes. And I always take care of my paisano. So here's a little something.
Antonio! Si! Vieni qua! Questa miserabile patrona!
And that's what these people are. Jesus. Remember when you used to use screens in your pipes? I hope Wes doesn't get upset with my picking apart some of his Spider-Man conversation. I thought that's what this was. And like I said, in the link down below, go give him a like or tell him why I was right about everything I said about. Because you can't go into something with a bad point of view, or else you're not going to like it, right? I don't need to travel to Phoenix. I know I hate it already. And even if I go and I witness something I'm going to like, how much am I going to really like it out of a scale of 10? You know, maybe more in the 6 range. It was all right. It's all right. Or maybe I'll love Phoenix. I'm like, oh, I think the idea of like some hot weather, maybe in the winter. I can't wait to see some walking sticks and some scorpions. Why did I pick Phoenix? I don't know. It's Todd McFarlane, I guess. I don't know. Maybe that's why. Arizona. Yeah, but thank you very much for joining us, everybody. I'm going to go to the comments right now. There are a lot of them, so we're going to go through them pretty quick. Oh, I can do shout out Yule. Absolutely, Green Lantern Sinestro Corps War is coming out tomorrow. If you want the best stories from DC Collected Nights, that comes out. Woo, excellent. Also, do you know, Yule, what pricing on first appearance that Hobgoblin is going for right now? It's pretty big. Excuse me, I don't have my book right here, but I have a pretty nice copy of it, if I must say so. I'm actually looking for a tits copy of the one without the tattoos in it. Hopefully so I can pay a little less also. All Kingpin covers are so dynamic. Yeah, I would agree with this. Wow, woof, bounding into comics is like the newsman. Oh, there you go. I was thinking right side news now. What is it? Right side something. Yeah, you think I watch all right, hold on a second. All right. Yeah, it's like Newsmax. Sure, why not? Whatever. The problem is all the sites have a slant or an angle. Chevron. Yes, I would agree with you. Again, suggesting that let's just pretend right now that CNN is the literal middle of media as far as news is concerned. The middle. We're not talking Sinclair and owning all of the stations and forcing everybody to read everything. We're not Fox, which is in everywhere, so it gets the bigger number and the most amount of old people watching walk in your tub commercials. And we're not talking MSNBC, but I've had a customer. I love this customer. Don't get me wrong. Known him for a long time in many ways. Said that he felt media was way more slanted left. And I felt I'm a really, you think that? And that's all I said. But I think most media is slanted middle right or more middle safe, which is right. If you you can't say something negative Christianity, you know what I mean? And you don't even get that on the left side, you know what I mean? I mean, we don't get any atheist conversation hardly at all, and it's only in the recent, even in the big YouTube news sphere, you don't get that stuff. It's just crazy lunatics. I don't believe in God. I don't believe all these, and then you're probably hanging out with gun nuts anyway. But yes, the problem is they do all have a slant angle. I mean, it's like what is going to get clicks? That's the angle. That's the angle. Oh, well, we're going to do it this way to get clicks. We're going to do it this way to get clicks. Wes has many things where he talks about good things. But how can I make a show based on that? How can you make a video based on that? You can't have a majority of videos. You have to get a bunch of people together to argue about something. And then every once in a while, you get a bunch of people to talk about a lot of fun things. And this was a really fun time. We should do it again. So I hope everybody knows that, like, I'm not slamming him specifically, but I am slamming bounding in comics. Dwayne Booth. I learned to let go of Spidey quite a while ago. No problem with that. And certainly not worth getting aggravated over anymore. Plenty of other books to read. Dude, that is exactly the reason. The thing is that most people haven't graduated from the thing that they've always read. And I think about a person that goes to college and can't get along in the real world or in the military. I had a friend hated being in the military. Had a lot of really fun stories that he told about being in the military. Went to school, couldn't stand being around normal people, went into the military. Back into the military. Hated the military. Dreaded having gone in the military after the fact. Went back in the military because he couldn't. It's called recidivism. We see prisoners go back into prison. They do. What is the reason for that? You know what I mean? Whatever. Don't get out of the book. It's time. Recidivism. There's a good Spider-Man book to read. When Amazing sucked and JMS was writing it, Paul Jenkins was writing Spectacular. When maybe Spectacular wasn't so good because they were trying to tie it into the movie, there was Tangled Webs of Spider-Man, which is stories of Spider-Man from any time, including the past, which might have upset people today. I'm giving you history here, everybody. Wes and Doc need to go back to review Dicko era. He was such, holy shit. Peter Parker was such an asshole. And he wanted to fucking beat the shit out of Flash Thompson. Who deserved it? He was like us. We're like, God, I can't. And he's already seen the reason why he can't do that type of thing and why he ultimately always has to go back and do the right thing, including hurt his social life. His real life is going to suffer for him to be Spider-Man because the one time he wasn't Spider-Man, the ultimate thing happened in his social life, which caused him to always have to do things as Spider-Man. That is the story of Spider-Man. If you have a problem with him selling, going backwards, he's been a billionaire. He's been married. He's been this. He's goes back because that's ultimately what the character is. If you want something else other than that, you should have made Spider-Man Renew Your Vows better, a better seller. You stick with Ultimate Spider-Man. As long as it's doing the greatest sales there are, it will be the way it is. You like What If? You like Elseworld stories? That's a What If, what else Elseworld story. If you don't like What Elseworld stories, like me, you read Amazing Spider-Man and you say, wow, there's some real bad inconsistencies here. But it's not that big a deal. Jagron, I think one of the editorial angles for stuff like Spider-Man book keeps causing problems, one such as Brevoort. I don't think he's like a great ambassador when it comes to that stuff. But a lot of people are putting were putting a lot of glow on Flo. The Milkshake Girls, the people afterwards, they were like, oh, we love Flo. These are the same people that are like, same type of people that are like, oh, well, we really love Captain Marvel. Now that there's a new person that I don't like, Captain Marvel was great. We had this person. We had women. And it's like, we had women. Yeah, it was Flo. And you know what? She said some shitty things about people. There was a fucking internet. She'd be Brevoort. You know what I mean? Brevoort is a clown. I don't disagree. Thank you, Dwayne. 153 was blah. Geez, Yule. I do think though, to help the health of the industry needs to have some feeling of character will advance some. The illusion that movement is happening. You know what I mean? How did I move from Lex Luthor being president of the United States and doing horrible, horrible shit and now running around? Actually, he's in prison right now. But he was running around before that. You know what I mean? It's like there is a certain amount, just like in wrestling. Unfortunately, I think just like hopefully for the rest of the world, just like in politics, we can forget the last 4 years. 3 years later. That's why I stopped reading comics. Tom Griffiths, that's the worst thing I've ever heard. I hope you don't just watch TV movie or comic TV or comic movies, because that's just bastardization of stuff that's really good. Like seriously, if you're a superhero fan and you didn't read Green Lantern Corps or Sinestro Corps War, you missed out. If you didn't read, I mean, Spider-Man's been pretty skint lately, as far as good stories. They haven't all been very good, but there were some good things. And most people tell me that the most amount of enjoyment they get out of comic books is actually the art. You don't read a good story with bad art. You love a good story with great art. You know what I mean? There's a lot of Dick Dillon and Luke and Keith Pollard comics to read. Jim Mooney. Incredible Hulk is a series I'm really liking. Boom. I'm really liking that one too. The Miller World books don't make sense as a shared world now. He's writing books like they're unconnected again. Yeah, that's probably true. And that also might like he did that really neat thing. I feel like ultimately, if you like Miller books, ignore Big Game. That's like what if that's your what if right there. That's my guess. I put a thumb up every time. I don't think it's colored that way. The League of Catwomen. Now that's sexy sounding. Conan, my early days of reading comics bring back memories. Dwayne. So me, I was a savage sort of Conan because my dad would buy them at the comic store that I would go to. This was when we were getting. My shame is that I bought X-Men 123 from the liquor store and didn't buy X-Men again until 141 and 142 at a 7-Eleven that we would go to. But soon thereafter, like seriously, 144, I was at a comic book store with my father buying multiple copies of multiple issues every week. Or as the comic stores were different then. You would have a comic book, you would buy a bunch of them, or you would be able to reorder a bunch of them over the course of time. There were no trade paperbacks per se, not like today. And you would, that's how you would go and get back issues. And eventually, as your stack of comic books started dwindling, those would become more expensive. And then eventually the price guide would adjust to that. But for the most part, a 60-cent comic book probably didn't get much more than $55 at the time. Some stuff like that. I remember I bought Sandman #1 for like $10, and I thought I was getting a real good deal because in Wizard it was $20. I think it was Wizard. Sharing another tall can with you and Conan. All right, Battle Buddy. Excellent. Barry did a great job in X-Men books. I disagree. It's that purple. He colors with purple. Him and Dan Brereton's orange. Ugh, can't stand it. No, but I totally agree. He's great. He's a great artist. Ernie Chang did a great job on Conan as well. Did he die? I didn't know that. Jeez. Dwayne Muth, I have the black and white reprints of Conan 4 through 6. Beautiful stuff. Barry's art was evolving for sure. And we're going from a bi-monthly artist to a monthly artist. They're working in a studio. They're getting all this little help from each other. Great stuff. 650 your change. So Yule, for Amazing Spider-Man, knowing me, will the issue annoy me? No. I think you should enjoy it. I don't think, let me see if you have something. Hey, I can understand how Wes was feeling with the MJ and Peter. I one reason I, for one reason, I did come back to read 31 issues. Seeing Peter and Felicia actually doing stuff together for the first time since I was, I think, age 7. Yeah, that's right. Superman Triangle era. Yeah, I totally agree. Recidivism is a strong, true word. Talking about the military. I couldn't believe it. Like, we went to school and he worked in the army during Bosnia. And he said one of the worst situations he was in was when a kid was like pointing a rifle at him. And there was a lot of screaming about putting shit down. He didn't say he shot anybody, so I think it worked out right. But, whew, damn, man. And then he came back and he was like super anti-military. We all took the same sociology, philosophy, history, English classes together. Him and a friend of his that introduced me to him and mine, and the connector. And to hear that he went back in, it was like, fuck, man, that's just crazy. More than even status quo change or lack of character advancement, I think event-itis and all those event stories, has been more issues from storytelling perspective, not necessarily sales. We got an anniversary issue coming up soon, just to let you know. Current Marvel is proof positive that art doesn't sell. Amazing still sells for me. They got good artists. Like, regardless of how people feel about John Romita Jr., it does well, and McGinnis does well. I think Joe Kelly on this book is going to be doing well. Thanks. Great time. Got to bounce, make content. Oh, good. I'm glad to hear that. I'm going to be leaving too. X-Men 75 to 80. Well, Dwayne, the thing is that my collection ultimately is the entirety of the Byrne run. If I go any more before or after, it's just gravy. But you'll know that my dead collection is. You're like, fuck, Yule's collection? Jill's selling Yule's collection? I don't really care about condition, but it's not pedigreed by CGC or Heritage or anybody like that. But you've seen my comic books. Obviously, this isn't Mylar, but you know what I think. And if you come in the store, you know what I think. Poll next week. John. Fine. We'll do that. Let me write that one down right now. I'm gonna. Oh, geez, Yule's taking more time, everybody. Oh, damn. No, this is important. Although you should events at fantasticcomics.net. Poll JR Jr. or Ron Lim. Oof. JR Jr., Iron Man, Dee and Spidey. Well, he's definitely done a lot, but we've got X-Men 2099. We've got Spidey. We've got Ultimate Spidey. I want Ed back on Superman. Oh, those were so good days. You had Mark Schultz writing Man of Steel. I forget who the artist was. You had Joe Kelly on Action, Joe Casey on Adventures, and Jeff Loeb on Superman. And you had Ed McGuinness and Duncan Rouleau, all at Men of Action, by the way. Those three, Kelly, Casey, and Rouleau. You had Doug Monkey on art. Oh, those were such good days. I highly recommend tracking down the unfortunately named Emperor Joker Superman story. It's a little bit of a giveaway, but that was a great storyline. And then lastly, Dwayne Moose says Days of Future Past 141 and 142. Those are my 2 consecutive X-Men comic books ever in an outside a comic book store setting ever. Did I say ever twice? I said it 3 times. Ever. So good. Greatest story ever. I was so baffled. I need to talk to my father about. It's just like he won't even remember that memory. But for me, I remember that memory, and that's what comic books are. I've always felt that it was a connection with me and my father, me and other people, me and people that don't necessarily meet eye to eye on everything, anything at all other than these things. And it's just comic books resonate in a way that almost any other medium doesn't for me. I can, with certain select people, be able to talk about music or movies, but then I'm limited those things, and where my my expertise is in. How sad. Oh shit. See you next week.
Lucy and Ramona cruising through the jungles of L.A. Hoping to promote a dream somewhere along the way. They're rolling through the streets, looking for a disco, passing up the treats from a kid named Cisco, trying to make connections with their blemish-free complexions, and just as fate would have it, ended up with Sunset Sam. Sam was selling watches from a suitcase on a TV tray. And Lucy and Ramona were trying to figure out if he was gay. The three of them were standing, staring at each other, when the light behind their eyes blew each other's cover. The ancient code was branded, and each of them was handed a ticket to their kingdom, 'cause they saw their brother Sunset Sam. Sunset Sam. Lucy was from Compton, and she met Ramona at the zoo. Ramona was from Brooklyn. She left when she was 22. Sam was a native of the Arizona desert, but he split when he was slated for some governmental make-work. Their differences subsided when the common bond was sighted. They were all from the same place that made the famous Sunset Sam.